Throughout the years, Five Nights at Freddy's has been notorious for its insane theories, its insane plot holes, and ongoing lore that still isn't even solved, even to this day. Let's just say in terms of the lore, it's the never-ending story, and you're never really going to know the ins and outs of it, and hell, I don't even know if the creator of Five Nights at Freddy's, Scott Cawthon, even knows the full ins and outs of it. Like I said before, there's going to be plenty of theories that arise as to what goes on behind the scenes at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Right now in 2024, we have pretty good insight surrounding what's going on over there. We have movies, video games, novels. Most importantly, the novels, they dive pretty damn deep into the lore of what's happening behind the scenes. However, way back in 2014, when the original game was released, we didn't have this. We weren't gifted with all this information that we know to this day. And a lot of people had theories back then, much like today. However, to say that those theories were very crazy and wild would be a very big understatement. These were very bizarre theories that some of them aren't even remotely true, but it's really interesting to see how far they've aged and how far they've come. Some of them are a little bit right, some of them are not even remotely close to the truth. And that's what I want to look into today. I want to look into some of the older Fnaf theories that center around the older days of Five Nights at Freddy's. I'm talking like 2014 up to like 2016. We didn't end up getting any of the books for Five Nights at Freddy's until December of 2015, where Scott Cawthon released The Silver Eyes. And in here we saw a lot of unseen content that we didn't get throughout the video games. A lot of the lore was explained through here, and it just got explained more and more through each and every one of these novels that was released. I'm talking about the Twisted Ones, the Freddy Files, everything related to Scott Cawthon that he distributed his own novels would pretty much explain a lot, but not fully explain what's going on. However, like I said, in 2014 and everything beyond 2015, we did not get anything surrounding it. So I want to look into some of these older theories, and we got a lot to look into, so let's jump right into it. Kicking off this list, I think, is the most infamous one out there. If you're familiar with Five Nights at Freddy's, then you know about the bite of 87. As you can see right here in this phone call from the very first night, the phone guy mentions this.
Then there was the bite of 87. Yeah, it's amazing that the human body can live without the frontal lobe, you know?
Leaving fans with a lot of question marks surrounding what exactly that meant. So what is the bite of 87? This occurred in which an animatronic bit somebody and they in turn lost the frontal lobe of their brain. And that was it. There was no more information surrounding this bite whatsoever, which had a lot of people questioning what the hell this was. The main culprit way back in the early stages of FNAF was none other than Foxy. And here's why. A lot of people thought that the reason that Foxy was in the out of order at Pirates Cove was because he was the one that ended up causing the bite of 87. Right here it says, while not explicitly stated, it is assumed that Foxy is the cause of this. The reason for the assumption is Foxy being a decommissioned animatronic. Foxy himself has fallen into despair over the years, and Pirate Cove is listed as out of order. Now, as we know to this day, it was revealed in the fourth FNAF that it was not Foxy, it was rather Fredbear in his original diner that caused the bite of 87, but back then, we had no idea of this, and a lot of people theorized that it was Foxy. However, we don't know exactly why Foxy is out of order. Side note, we do actually know why Foxy is out of order. It was listed in the Silver Eyes novel that he's out of order because his endoskeleton is twitchy, and this was confirmed by the Silver Eyes, which of course was written by Scott Cawthon. So, a little side note out there. I guess that was just kind of a clue or just a way for Scott Cawthon to kind of poke fun at the fans that, oh, hey, look, he may have caused it. And at the time, Scott may have had an initial idea for Foxy to be the main one that caused the bite of 87. I don't know, but what we do know, it wasn't Foxy, but a lot of people theorized that back in the day, which was pretty hilarious looking at it now, but wasn't that funny back then. This theory is a little bit gruesome and kind of disgusting. So, in the original Five Nights at Freddy's game, the phone guy ends up dying in Night 4, as you can hear right here in the phone call.
Tomorrow, it's been a bad night here for me. I'm kind of glad that I recorded my messages for you. So when I did, hey, do me a favor. Maybe sometime you could check inside those suits in the back room. I'm going to try to hold out until someone checks. Maybe it won't be so bad. Yeah, I always wondered what was in all those empty heads back there. You know.
It does not sound good, and it sounds like the death screen that you get whenever you die throughout the game. So a lot of people were theorizing as to where exactly Phone Guy's body was. Yeah, that's right. So the original theory was that it was in Chica's suit. And if you look at this image right here, Chica's third frame, when her head twitches, you can see a second set of teeth clearly visible. And a lot of people thought that that was Phone Guy's teeth, that Phone Guy just possessed the animatronic, and that's the whole reason you're getting after it. Chica was possessed by Phone Guy? No, not even close. But the reason that a lot of people theorize this outside of the human teeth is if you go back to what he said in Night One's phone call.
The only real risk to you as a night watchman here, if any, is the fact that these characters, if they happen to see you after hours, probably won't recognize you as a person. They'll most likely see you as a metal endoskeleton without its costume on. They'll probably try to forcefully stuff you inside a Freddy Fazbear suit. The only parts of you that would likely see the light of day again would be your eyeballs and teeth when they pop out the front of the mask.
So the eyeballs and the teeth that people were seeing inside of Chica were presumably related to Phone Guy. Another reason people thought was because she makes rapsy, human-like groaning noises when she is inside the office, and Bonnie makes the exact same noises too, so a lot of people were kind of going back and forth with this one. Obviously, it was debunked. This is definitely not Phone Guy inside of Chica, but another popular theory for where his body was at was that it was stuffed inside of the Golden Freddy suit. Now, I have no idea where they came up with this one, because if you look at Golden Freddy, that is the most lifeless, dimp-looking animatronic you're ever going to find in your entire life. Like, look at that thing. It looks like it would fall down if you farted near it. But the reason why people thought it was him was because he takes the position of a slumped over corpse. Adding on to it, an endoskeleton cannot be seen inside of Golden Freddy, and he has no eyes. And I don't see how the hell this would correspond with what he said about eyeballs and teeth popping out of the mask, but it was a candidate for the night guard that died, but that was also known as Phone Guy, and it was not even remotely freaking close. I get it. We still don't know exactly what happened to Phone Guy. Hell, we don't even know who the Phone Guy really is. Like I said, there's still a lot of questions that are unanswered throughout the FNAF universe. But back then, people were thinking it was that, and it's pretty freaking funny right now, honestly. I like how you can go back and say, you know, we're going to look back at this and laugh. We're doing that right now. One of the funnier theories was that if you typed in 066 or 666 on Custom Night, you would unlock the kitchen camera. This was not true whatsoever. The kitchen camera is still broken. You don't get to see Chica making a pizza in the kitchen at 3 a.m. like all of us do time to time. No, you don't see any of that. That is honestly hilarious how Scott Cawthon would even consider enabling that, and he didn't. Like, why would 4 6s or a 0 and why would Satan summon the kitchen camera? That makes no sense, but it was hilarious. This other one right here was pretty infamous. This one was called Sparky the Dog. If you're not familiar with him, join the club, because not a lot of people are. Right here, there's image surfaced on the internet. This is a Photoshop picture of Sparky the Dog in game. Like I said, Photoshop. This was not real, but when it was released earlier in 2014, a lot of people speculated that there was a 5th animatronic in here, and that's not the case whatsoever. It was created by some Tumblr users and was described as a dog-like animatronic with a missing arm, but a non-violent dog that would not attack the player, only occasionally appearing in the doorway to the backstage. This was, of course, debunked later on to be completely fan-made, as Scott Cawthon pretty much said that there was only 4 animatronics. The only scrapped animatronic that Scott Cawthon had was supposed to take place for Foxy, and that was originally going to be a beaver animatronic, but he removed it from the game in the earlier stages in fears that it resembled too much of some of his older video games. That's why Foxy is who he is, but he never had any intentions of adding any other animatronic outside of the original 4 in the original game. This one is rather pretty freaking funny, actually, because of how far-fetched it is and just how ridiculous it sounds. This one is the Cupcake is a camera, and basically the Cupcake that you see in your office, people assumed that it was a camera that the animatronics used to see what you look like and where you are, and that's why they would kill you. Now, the reason people thought this was whenever Foxy would jump scare you, the cupcake would disappear. Well, not only does the cupcake disappear, there's also a slight glitch you can see right here that doesn't make sense whatsoever. And obviously this was debunked, but the evidence for this is that the monitors on the office desk seems to switch on the broadcast and the attack on Mike Schmidt, also known as the night guard, the guy that you're playing as, and this was obviously proven false. The monitors clearly show something from inside the room, and if you look, each monitor shows a different angle. If the cupcake really were a camera, they would show the same angle, but they don't. In fact, they show angles impossible for the cupcake to see from its position facing forward on the other side of the room from Foxy. This suggests that the monitors simply reflect the attack rather than display it. However, why they don't reflect anything until the attack happens is unknown. Some people seriously went into deep theory as to why the cupcake disappears whenever Foxy kills you. I'm here to tell you people, it's not that deep. But a lot of people take this very seriously, and I applaud those people. I love you guys. Now, this rumor would not really stand guard this day and age because of how poorly aged it is, but there was a rumor that if you got a pirated version of the original FNAF 1 on a torrent site, the player would get jump scared by Freddy every time they try to close the game, as a way for Scott Cawthon to punish those who didn't pay for the full version on Steam. Obviously, this is not the case, and if I have to give a little bit of advice out there to you guys, it is, well, how about you don't pirate games and just buy the whole damn game, first of all, because this would sound like the least of your problems when it comes to pirating games. First of all, that is highly illegal, like I tapped on in the other video. Second of all, if you pirate a game, you could be installing malware viruses, you could completely crash your computer, or you could give a random user complete access to your computer. And if you really want that, go right ahead. But if you have common sense, I'd avoid doing that at all costs, and make sure you just buy the game. Don't be stupid, people. Now, this theory was a little wild, honestly, because I think it completely changes your perspective on the view of the animatronics. This one was that Foxy was actually a really good guy and he had no intentions of killing you. You see, Foxy is the only animatronic in the original game to jump scare you by just appearing in your room. The other three animatronics end up jump scaring you by, well, just flat out killing you. Foxy does not do that. A lot of people theorized in the earlier days that he was just checking up on you because he thought you were lonely, kind of like in this video right here. As it turns out, this was not the case at all, and turns out that Foxy actually wanted to kill you, as indicated in the second FNAF game when he literally lunges at you. This theory was debunked shortly after that. This theory is the gender of the animatronic characters. See, a lot of people originally believed that Freddy and Bonnie were actually females, and here's why. Bonnie, they believe, is female because of the laziest way possible, because Bonnie is a girl name. That's the only reason why people theorize Bonnie was a girl. But people theorize that Freddy was a girl because whenever he ends up laughing, if you slow it down, it sounds like a girl's laughter right here. And not only that, this part is the funniest. When you check on the bathroom cam, you can see Freddy hiding out in the women's bathroom. So people theorize that it was a girl. Totally. So I guess Chica, which is blatantly obvious, an animatronic that's a girl, is not a girl, right? A girl is not possessing Chica, right? Because she's standing away from the bathroom. Yeah, way to go, guys. Obviously, this theory was debunked. Neither Freddy nor Bonnie was a female, but it was pretty funny to see that people originally thought this. This was a really popular theory because back then, nobody really knew much about the phone guy or how he died. All we know was that in Night 4, like I said, there was a lot of banging going on in the background, which sounds like whenever Foxy gets to your door, and he was also sounding very scared in the phone call. Eventually, it sounds like the power goes out, and you can hear what sounds like either Chica or Bonnie whenever they moan getting into your room. You hear, oh no, and it cuts out. So, a lot of people theorized who it was going to be. We have 4 candidates, obviously. People thought it was Foxy because they thought that he accidentally opened the door and then Foxy came in. I don't see the logic in that because if you're panicking, trying to keep them out, the last thing you're going to think of is even touching the door light or the door handle whatsoever. So I don't think that one's the case. People think that it's Chica, that she somehow found a way to sneak in the room. And while this does hold a little bit of ground because of the moaning, which only occurs whenever Bonnie or Chica gets into your room, in the end, I think it was Freddy but people still theorize that it was Bonnie or Chica. Here's why I think it was Freddy. I think it was Freddy because the power clearly went out, and he is the one that attacks you whenever the power goes out, not the other three animatronics. But this was never really proven right by anybody. We don't know really much about Phone Guy or how he ended up dying, but a lot of people thought it was Bonnie or Chica, and I think that's the furthest from the truth. Just because there's banging on the door, because you hear this and that, does not indicate this whatsoever. I'm going by strictly the facts and what goes on in the game, so I'm going to end it off with it's Freddy. That's it. It's Freddy. Now, this next theory, Scott Cawthon ended up chiming in on it and had a little bit of fun with the fans. So, a lot of people were speculating where exactly Golden Freddy hides throughout the game. As you know, sometimes throughout the game, whenever you check on this cam, if you see Golden Freddy appear on the poster right here, then he's inside of your room, and he comes up whenever you put the camera down, and then he ends up killing you, which crashes your game. Everybody knows that, but what nobody knows is where exactly Golden Freddy relies on whenever he's not seen on this poster. I personally don't know, and I don't care, because he's not really a main character throughout the game, but a lot of the fan base really cares about Golden Freddy, especially in the earlier days. So some people speculated that Golden Freddy resides in the kitchen cam, and there was a way to access that. Remember how I said 066 and then 6666 would access the kitchen cam? Well, that was debunked. So let's try with the next best theory. People theorized that if you went in Custom Night and typed in 1987, that it would unlock the kitchen cam and you would see Golden Freddy just chilling in there, making your pizza and your salad and your wings. This turned out to not be the case whatsoever, as the kitchen cam is just completely broken, and there's nothing Golden Freddy nor Chica could do to fix that because they're animatronics, not maintenance men. And Scott Cawthon chimed in and had a little bit of fun with this. So whenever you typed in 1987, it would have Golden Freddy come up and kill you, just like he would if you see him in the game. Just because this theory was so far-fetched and so funny and involved Golden Freddy, Scott Cawthon was like, you know what? Let's just throw this out there. Boom! Now, these next couple of theories are going to stay on Golden Freddy, as, like I said, he was one of the more questionable characters in the earlier days of Five Nights at Freddy's. Outside of the Bite of 87, the second biggest theory was Golden Freddy. This one is that he is a hallucination, and here's what they think. Mike Schmidt has already had hallucinations throughout the game whenever you see the it's me and this and that, but whenever you look at the Golden Freddy poster in the office, it causes the image to stick in his head and think that the animatronic has entered the room. Another big reason why they think he's a hallucination is because he does not jump scare you, rather a picture of his face just pops up and you can hear a really slowed down version of the jump scare that you hear. And this kind of holds some ground, and honestly, it makes more sense amongst the other ones out there because I personally kind of believe in this theory and that Golden Freddy really is just a hallucination and not really in your head. And another thing that people think is because in the Night 4 phone call, a low-pitched version of the normal jump scare sound can be heard, and it only occurs, obviously, whenever Golden Freddy jump scares the player, suggesting that it belonged to him. If he was a hallucination, there would be no way his screen could have been recorded. So that basically debunked this theory that he was a hallucination and he was an actual person, but of course, like I said, a majority of these theories are always going to be debunked, and people were even debunking them even back in the day, so this doesn't surprise me whatsoever, but it's a little fun thing to talk about, though, honestly. It makes more sense compared to the other ones. One of the craziest ones for Golden Freddy is that he is from the future. Yeah, that's right. Golden Freddy came from the future to pop into this poster, then pop into your office, jump scare you, and crash your video game because fuck it. That's why. It was believed early on that Golden Freddy was Mike Schmidt from the future. That's why whenever you see the it's me hallucinations, it's actually just Mike Schmidt warning himself that he should probably get out of Freddy Fazbear's and not return for the rest of his shift. Which, I mean, I guess that makes sense, kinda. It's also, in a sense, pretty freaking stupid, if you ask me. Like, why would Golden Freddy represent yourself from the future? From what we know about Golden Freddy, or the little that we knew about Golden Freddy back then, that doesn't make sense at all. That Golden Freddy, this basically means that Golden Freddy is Mike Schmidt. So how is Mike Schmidt alive in a night guard? That doesn't make any sense, and it's pretty hilarious. This theory was probably the biggest one out there, and that is the entire game and franchise of Five Nights at Freddy's 1 through 4 was all just a bad dream from the kid that we get in the fourth Fnaf. While this does hold a little bit of ground because of the fourth one, the kid has reoccurring nightmares, it makes absolutely no sense that a kid would consistently dream about being an adult and working at various different locations of Freddy Fazbear's pizza. While this is an intriguing theory and kind of makes sense, keyword kind of, it is also very blatantly wrong, and it's obvious that it's nowhere close to the truth, but it is a little bit more realistic compared to other ones out here. Now we're moving kind of on to the second Five Nights at Freddy's game. I'll pop in a couple of those theories into here, and that is Jeremy Fitzgerald, which is the night guard that you play in the second game. He was the victim of the bite of 87. And let me just dive into this a little bit more, give you a little bit more context. So on night 6, the phone guy says this. This theory pretty much said that he was doing exactly what he was told, and he stayed closer to the animatronic characters. However, this would backfire on Jeremy, as one of the animatronics ended up biting his head, causing the bite of 87. Supporting this theory would be the fact that the animatronics in the second game had been acting strangely recently, having been possibly tampered with. So people thought that Jeremy being a little too close to the animatronics would be the reason why he ended up getting the bite of 87. Obviously, this is not even remotely close whatsoever. Like I said, it was proven in the fourth Fnaf who the actual bite of 87 was, but kudos to the people out there that credited this. They actually thought it was true, and like I said, throughout the first 3 games, it keeps theorizing more and more as to who the bite of 87 was, and I think Scott Cawthon the whole time was still trying to think about who it was too, you know? And I mean, I think he made it up really well, but obviously you didn't want it to be any of the main characters. That would be a little disappointing, don't you think? Right here, the final theory that I want to talk about today is Fritz Smith is the phone guy. Yes, the infamous phone guy. If you're unfamiliar with Fritz Smith, he is the night guard that works in Freddy Fazbear's Pizza on night 7 and the second FNAF game. According to the termination slip, it is actually the phone guy himself. Supporters' theory point that the phone guy offers to take Jeremy's shift at night while Jeremy fills in for the newly available day shift. Jeremy works on night 6, so night 7 theoretically would be the very next day. Pretty much saying that the guy that was the night guard for the first 6 nights would take over for the day shift, and that the phone guy would be taking over for the night shift, and that starts on night 7, which would reveal his name to be Fritz Smith. This is actually a very, very solid theory, and probably the biggest one that we've had this entire video. And honestly, it does make a lot of sense, and all signs point to this direction. And let me explain why. So the phone guy has pre-recorded messages for you throughout the entirety of both games. And in the second one, you don't get a phone call in night 7. So that does kind of add into the theory that Fritz Smith is actually him. You get a phone call, of course, in the first 6 nights, and he does mention that he would take over for the night shift, and that Jeremy, the original night guard, took over during the day. So they pretty much swap positions, leading all that towards him. However, this pretty much was not confirmed debunked, but we can assume that that's not the case. First of all, the whole ordeal of we don't get a phone call on night 7 is due to the fact that it is a custom night. It is not a canon night. It has nothing to do with the storyline of the game. It is just a fun little way to control the animatronics and have, of course, like Scott Cawthon said, your own custom night. So while it does make sense and all signs point to it, ultimately it probably just isn't the case whatsoever. And it is also pretty much known that after the night 6 event, Freddy Fazbear's was shut down. He also mentions in night 6 that they have one birthday party left. So there would be no reason to be keeping the doors open, especially with what had been going down that entire week. I mean, they literally caught a guy stuffing children into suit in the second game, and they even caught him luring him in the back. There was a bunch of bullshit that went down. So it doesn't make any sense for why a night guard would have to be there past night 6. So that also kind of goes against this theory. But honestly, this is the most solid one out there. And like I said, it makes the most sense, but ultimately, I don't think it was true. So the theory was pretty much debunked, and we still really don't quite know to this day. Honestly, I didn't read much of the novel, so if I'm being wrong here, go ahead and call me out in the comment section or whatever, but I don't really know who Phone Guy is, but I'm just listing out some of the crazy theories. But that's going to do it for today's video, guys. These are some of the wild theories from way back in the early stages of Five Nights at Freddy's. We have lots and lots more, and if you guys enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like and comment down below if you want to make another video regarding some of the other ones. Like I said, there are 4 original FNAF games out there, and they had some pretty wild theories before the novel was released in December of 2015, so we got a lot more to cover if you guys want me to do that. And if you do, leave a comment down below. But